Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside. Let me make sure my volume's up. No, it isn't. Well, now it is. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. Let me get my notes up here. Where did they go? Oh, there they are. For the 18th day of March, 2020. Well, I've tried to use a different laptop here, and I don't know what happens. I do this on the Mac and on my Mac laptop, and the video just stops. It just stops in the middle of creating it. It's so frustrating. I just don't know what to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and back to my Windows laptop and be done with it. I don't know. I don't know what to do. But for whatever reason, I can't access YouTube on this laptop. Maybe because I've got it open other places. I don't know. YouTube has done so many different things. Google is wanting all of this different verification, and everybody wants. I have to have my phone with me all the time now so they can send me a code. I'm getting so tired of that, and I realize there's probably a very good reason for why this is happening, but it's really frustrating. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead then and figure all that out, I guess, at some point. But for now, I have to let this thing go into. I have to put this video into Dropbox, and then I can access it on either my desktop computer or the Mac laptop, and I can then upload the video to YouTube. Oh, Lord, the things we do to ourselves, isn't it? Anyhow, let's go ahead and take a look at the astrology. It's basically the same as yesterday. We're doing a lot of restructuring right now. A lot of stuff in Capricorn, either that or it's in Pisces. 11th house is involved, a lot of 12th house involvement. But right now, everything is being shaped by the fact that we're having to figure out what we're going to do here for the next foreseeable future, and we don't know how long that's going to be. So, I think that unfortunately the astrology is sort of talking about that. Moon conjunct Pluto, clarity occurs after emotional upset. I think we're going to have to really find some clarity within all of this. We need to be we need to understand that we're in a position right now because the people in the federal government, the president specifically, denied all of this for a long time and kept saying, oh no, go to rallies, do this, do that, oh no, I'm not going to self-isolate, I'm not going. No. Instead of setting an example, he sent us off a cliff. And that's unfortunately what we're seeing now. We've got people that don't want to self-quarantine. They don't want to isolate. They don't want to stay 6 feet back from people. They don't understand the seriousness of this. And so, you even have some that are saying, oh, this is just, the conspiracy folks are saying, well, we're that this is some kind of a deep state mind control thing. Well, okay, if you play with that argument for just a moment, say it is. Say somebody did this to us to try to control us somehow, to make something else happen. Okay. The bottom line is we're still dealing with a virus. Okay? We're still dealing with it. If you don't understand that, if you don't understand that people are getting sick, well, and worse, well, then I don't know what to say to you. I really don't. We can address those issues that you have later, but right now, can we please just get through this? Seriously, it's just that simple. Sun, 11th house Pisces, time for reflection, but we need to understand our impact on others here. I think that's the message of the 11th house. The 11th house is about relationships, friendships, all of that. But I think it has to do with how we manage all of that right now. And we need to rethink some things. Sun sextile Saturn, baby steps today, incremental progress. This is a new situation. We're kind of feeling our way. We don't want to go crazy. You see a lot of people buying out all the toilet paper, buying out all the bottled water. Well, I said to my husband last night, well, we don't have to have bottled water because we have well water. And I can't imagine people that have to do that. I don't have to do that. So, and our water's good. I know because we're the ones that take the sample to the testing company because my husband runs the water situation here. So I can't imagine something like that. But I realize people who live in the city, if you've got chlorinated water, it doesn't taste good. So of course you're going to have bottled water. You don't want to be hydrating with some of the water that you have in the cities, so because it tastes so bad. Mercury 11th house Pisces, another 11th house thing, reflection, Pisces, intuition is strong. Explore your interactions with others online, and for heaven's sakes, check in on your family, check in on your parents. If they're still alive, check in on them. Don't ignore them. If you have issues with them, put them aside for right now. You can deal with it later. But call your parents. Check in with them. Make sure they're okay, especially if you don't live around them. If you're not there to go see them and make sure they're okay, you better be calling them because this isn't right not to do that, especially right now. Don't leave them alone. This is a scary time for old people, okay? Really scary because there are states that are going to make decisions to not put them on a ventilator because they don't have one. And that could be the only thing that saves their lives. So you might lose your parents right now. You just don't know. So pay attention. Pay attention to the interactions you have with others and have them, okay? Just have them. Just care about others right now. Venus, 12th house Taurus, again, same sort of thing. Reflect on your surroundings. Take a walk, but be aware of others. Mars, 9th house Capricorn, again, new experiences, a new direction may open here. We don't know. We don't know what it's all going to look like after all is said and done. Maybe everybody just get back to normal, but maybe people might start thinking about doing something differently with their lives when all of this is finished. Mars conjunct Jupiter. Focus on the information you're getting right now. Make sure it's coming from the CDC. Make sure it's coming from the medical profession because those are the people that have the facts. If you've got a governor that's actually taking this seriously like we do, well, then you're blessed. You really are because they're the ones you're going to be looking at now to guide you through this. Again, we're looking at reassessing our perspective. Jupiter, 10th house Capricorn, same thing. Conjunct Pluto. We have the resolve to accomplish anything we want to right now. We just got to get down to it, know what the facts are, seek them out, and again, you're going to have to listen to the CDC, listen to Dr. Fauci. If there's one person in the world to listen to right now, listen to Dr. Fauci. He's the guy that knows what's going on. And he's the one that really is not afraid to speak truth to unfortunate power. So let's see, Saturn square Uranus. It's a weak one. It's a weak aspect, but it's saying there's a tense time right now. Let's see, Saturn, 10th house Capricorn, reassessment of direction. Uranus, again, 12th house Taurus. We need to be open to change and new experiences right now. We need to maintain that flexibility. Lots of profound changes in order. Breaking free from old patterns and paradigms. The semi-square with Neptune is still in effect. And there we're looking at this deception that we've been dealing with for quite some time now. And the long played con. They failed us. That's what the government did. The federal government failed us. And those people that have put their faith in it right now, it's been misplaced. We've been conned. Some of us knew that, some of us didn't. It's what happens, it's what happens. But Pluto in the 10th house in Capricorn is telling us that a change in life direction and perspective is coming. We're not going to have a choice here. We're not going to be able to ignore truth any longer of what's really been going on. If the testing has been delayed because the family in power, and I say family because I mean family in power, has decided they want to make a buck off of this, well, we're going to find that out real quickly because that seems to be what's going on here. If they have delayed us getting testing because they wanted to make money off of us, well now. Yeah, that ain't going to sit well. But I'm going to tell you that Chiron, where it is, 12th house Aries, life is changing now. And we may be able to create the space to heal others as we heal our own wounds. You know, it's not easy when we realize that things have been going on that you know, we put our faith in and we discover it's been misplaced. Well, you know, sure, you have to own some of that. But the bottom line is if a con's in play, a con's in play. And we're not the ones doing it. We just simply got caught up in it. And that's unfortunate, but now is the time to reassess and move in a different direction. So in any event, that's pretty much what's been going on anyway. So, but I think it's a good idea to reinforce it, you know, and talk about it so that we understand that the energies are just loose enough right now that we can make them work for us in any way we need to. And right now, we need to come together in shared purpose. And that's where we need to put that energy. And that's why I say when you're looking at a lot of the 11th house activity right now, we're talking about how to restructure our relationships together and to get out of the conflict and the division that's been imposed upon us. Make sure you understand that. That's part of the long play con. The societal breakup that we have, that's been imposed on us. It's not something that needed to happen. Not at all. Not at all. It's one thing to get the corruption out, but to break it all up so you can put it in, that's what's been going on, and that's the long play con. Let's go ahead, though, and let's take a look at our the first 3 cards, and we'll do them randomly. If you haven't been here before, I take the 13th card each time, just for randomness sake. For normal readings, I don't, but for this one, I'm going to. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first 3 cards, and then we'll talk about them. Let's see, I think I need to light another candle over here. I have the Hermit to start out with, the 9th card of the Major Arcana. Retreat to give light to the world. So I'll stop to give light to my reading. I had my table all structured here, and then I started playing around with the other computer, and now nothing is where it's supposed to be. So, but we'll start with the Hermit, and we'll start with we figure the 9th card is about endings and completion. But here he's retreating to give light to the world and to seek silent counsel. When I talk about awakening with the astrology, that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about a spirit-based realization to where ego is no longer controlling your perceptions, and it's spirit, it's the soul, it's the higher self. You know, it's source presence that's doing that for you. Ace of Wands. The birth of will, the birth of creativity, undeveloped potential. In the fire element. The fire element, it's about our will and the creative spark in things. It's catalytic, as is all fire energy. Oh, we had this yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It was either yesterday or day before. See, is today Wednesday? Yeah, it could have been Monday. We have the 8 of Cups, but I know it was this week. Letting go of things that no longer serve. You know, I'm going to use, I think, yeah, I'm going to move these all around. I'm going to use the Hermit as the focal point for the reading. So let's go ahead and look at the Hermit first. Here we have the Hermit, again, the ninth card from the Major Arcana. Major Arcana cards are soul archetype cards. I can never seem to get rid of that. I have to move it up or I have to move it down, but I always have that line there. What if I put it over here? No, it's got to be coming from this from the backlighting of the laptop. I was hoping to be able to do that differently if I use the other laptop, but it's not going to work. But anyway, he's up on a mountain peak. He's getting away from everything and everyone. You see his lantern there, wisdom, knowledge, shining forth. He's trying to achieve alignment. His staff is mostly straight there. But you see the light within emanating out of the lantern itself. You see the Merkaba. Merkaba is our soul vehicle, in a sense. But he's an older sage. He's the priest or the druid or whomever. I don't see him really. I see him in a more pagan type of a visage, really. But he's someone who's retreated inward to find enlightenment and awakening, and I think that that's really what's going on right now. You know, we're having this restructuring, a lot of 10th house activity, and I think that it's telling us that our perceptions, our direction, how we see things needs to change. The direction that we're going, as opposed to being apart from one another, now needs to come together. During this time of ascension that we're in, you hear a lot of people talking about this is the time of ascension. You can look at that in a variety of ways, I suppose. You can look at that as just a physical lightening of the density as we move into from third and fourth into fifth. Basically, the planet is transitioning. Everything is energetic. Everything is an expression of the Creator's thought. I believe the Creator is all that is, and so everything is the Creator expressed into form. And I believe that and I don't look at the Creator as a male presence. I don't look at God as a male presence, but it's genderless. But if there is a one side to go on, I view it as the Great Mother, who breathes out life, and we rest in the Great Mother's breath. I love that. That's a little bit of Blavatsky there, the stanzas. But I love that concept, of resting in the Great Mother's breath until she breathes us back in. And what you experience out here is in form is just giving the Great Mother more information about what this whole experience is. Some suggest that it happened all at once and we're just reliving it in our own way. Or others say, no, it's that we're progressing and learning and creating as we go. Either way you look at it, it's still Source Presence that's doing it. So when we align in Source Presence, all we're doing is remembering who we are and regaining that perspective of spirit perspective versus ego. Once we come into form, perhaps we forget who we are in that regard. So I'm going to go ahead and put my cards up here so I can see them better. I think that the awakening that we have to do, whether it's in terms of ascension or right now, is that we have to stop reacting and we have to start thinking. We have to start seeing the bigger picture of things. And that does not come from the place of ego. That comes from the place of spirit and of higher self. Higher self, spirit, soul, whatever you want to call this, drives our experience if we would but remember that it's there. It's not something that we work our way back to. It is something that without its constant presence of the soul, we wouldn't even exist. And so it's a constant stream of soul energy that focuses into these bodies and into this universe to make all of it be here. We just need to tune back into it. And when that happens, then somehow the thought of buying all the toilet paper in the store doesn't occur to you, right? You're going to leave some for someone else. You know that you're not the only person in this experience and that other people matter too. And that if we're going to get anywhere here, we have to do it in some kind of cohesive way. So I think that that's what the Hermit is trying to say to us, that we need to align within, access the source presence that is our true reality, and use that to inform our decisions and our choices and our perceptions and what we're going to do here for the foreseeable future. We need to use the energy of the 8 to climb higher, to leave emotions behind that no longer serve us, that maybe got us to a certain place of realization and awareness, but it's time to move on to something better. It might be challenging, exploring new emotions usually are, especially if we've been, at odds with somebody. Maybe this is a time, for example, we need to depend on our neighbors at a distance, of course, but depend on our neighbors. And so if that's the case, if the last few years have left us at odds with our neighbors, we need to let that go now and realize that that was part of a con that was played on us. And it's time to get back to being friends again, or at least acquaintances that can help one another. Okay, that's where the energy is going. All right. If we're to survive all of this, we have to come back together in shared purpose. And we have got to leave behind some difficult emotions that maybe separated us for a while, and realize that they weren't going to serve us in the long run, that they could never be sustainable. So don't be afraid right now to meet the challenge, because you can do it. The energy is there to achieve this. Another part of the inward and the inner awareness that we're trying to gain with the Hermit is to not only leave emotions behind that are keeping us back, but to move forward with our creative potential, mind, body, spirit alignment. You see how perfectly straight that club is, right? The hand reaches out from the clouds onto the scene. New creative potential, new will, new expression of will. How are we going to take back control? It's by choosing to align together and to do what's best for the whole, what's best for the collective right now. I mean, can you imagine? We come out on the other side of this, and the government has done what it's supposed to do, and provided income for the people to live on because their jobs have closed, and it's for health reasons. This is a national emergency. It's a world emergency. This is what you have to do. You don't save the airlines because the airlines can save themselves. There's something in place for it. You don't need to give them any money. The corporations, they can save themselves. And don't give me the nonsense about corporations are people too, my friend Mitt Romney. Don't do that. Sure, people make up corporations, but you know the difference. And he did. He knew the difference. That's why he didn't become president. Because he sat up there and was an idiot, right? Right now, the only thing the government needs to worry about are the people. Period. Not the corporations. Make sure people have got money that they're not getting because they're not at their job, or pay their employers so their employers can then pay them their wages. However you want to do it, I don't care. As long as the money gets into the hands of the people so that they can live during this time. They can pay their rent, they can pay their house payment, pay their car payment. Or let all that go. But if you're renting from someone like me, I'm not a corporation, and I don't have places to rent. So it's an example. But if you're just renting from someone who happens to have an extra property they're renting out, they probably need that money to make the payment on the house, right? So there has to be some way to help the average person here get through this financially. And that's what, we don't need a wall. You need money in your bank account so you can go buy groceries when you can finally go, right? That's what you need. So that's the kind of thing that we need to see happen here. Not this business of denial and blame and suggesting, conspiracy this, conspiracy that. We'll talk about that later. If it turns out that's what it was, you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to talk about that later. So, whatever nefariousness is going on right now, if people are sensing that, well, you're likely right. But right now, let's just focus on getting well and staying well and flattening, as they're saying. The CDC is calling it flattening the virus, flattening its effect. Give it nowhere to go. Let it peter out, right? It's going to come back again. This is here, right? So, that's what viruses do. They mutate, they grow, they change. You think you're on top of it, and it's just like the flu. You get your flu shot. If you do that, then there's only so many strains you're covered for. The rest of them you're not, because they mutate. It's just what happens. So again, let's think about this way. Let's be very practical, and get through this. See it for what it is. Just deal with the nuts and bolts and the immediacy of it all, right? And then we'll figure out the other stuff later. So let's give none of that any attention right now. And let's just stay safe, keep others safe, check in with those you love, or maybe those you forgot you loved. And let's just find a way back into shared purpose. The rest of the stuff, if it's really important, it'll be there when all this is over. We can deal with it then. Does that make sense? There is the rune for today. We're going to draw this one because it's really a bind rune. Let me get my piece of paper here. I've always said that this thing is a work in progress, but I was hoping it was just the content, Then I get an idea and I move into another room and, I have weird glitches on my computer and things happen. So I don't know. But Thurzaz is the third rune of the Elder Futhark. It is known as Thor's rune, or the thorn. Kind of looks like a little thorn on a rose bush, doesn't it, on a stem? Kind of the thorn kind of sticks out like that. Thurzaz is a very catalytic rune, obviously with thinking of it as Thor's hammer. But it's Thor's rune, and the god of thunder. So it breaks through barriers. It moves past obstacles. It neutralizes enemies. It's just one of those things. I've used it in. I needed to go somewhere, and I had to go over the mountain to go. I had to go to Portland, and we're like, oh my God, we're not going to be able to go because I have a Camry. It's very low to the ground. Remember that commercial where they were talking about being grounded to the ground? Well, it is. I don't know who thought that up, but my God, how perfect. Sometimes, these folks can really come up with the right thing, but I couldn't get out of my driveway because I had snow. And so I was so upset. I just went out there and I worked a spell using Thurzaz to bust up the clouds, right? Sure enough, I looked out there about 20 minutes later, the clouds were dissipating, and I'm just like, oh my God, we get to go. And so we went, and it was fine. But if I can't get out of my driveway, that was in the days before I had my snowblower, because we had a gravel driveway. In the beginning days of snowblowers, they weren't the 2-stage where you could use them on a gravel driveway. Well, we finally bought one, and oh my gosh, that thing just works great. But we lived here we've been here since 81, and we only bought it a couple of years ago. So, but my husband's in his 60s, so we have an 800-foot driveway, and he had to do it by hand 3 times one year. And I said, okay, we're getting a snowblower. I don't know, men. It's like, no, I can do it. I can do it. No, I don't want you to. It's not about what you can do. It's about what you deserve not to do now. You're old now. You're 60, he's 66. He doesn't need to do things like that. So he gets, and it has headlights. So he loves it. It's great. So anyway, it's a total guy thing. But anyway, Thurisaz is made up of Isa and Kenaz turned inward. So the light of spirit turned inward. So when you're busting up clouds and you're breaking through barriers and obstacles, there's a little bit of judgment involved there. And so you're going to have to really allow spirit to inform that process so that you're sure that you're not using Thurisaz in a way that's egoic versus spirit-based. So, but that's the idea. We need to break through the barriers of our own creation right now and come back together in a way that makes more sense. I'm going to do the geomancy rune here in the light of the candle so I can actually see it for once, get these things in order. Oh, yes, well, okay. And this is not going to mean what it seems to mean. And I'll tell you why. So today's geomancy rune is Carcer. If you've been following along, I swear, the next Foundations in Magic one I'm going to do, I did it on runes. I'm going to do it on geomancy. I realize I don't understand everything there is to know about geomancy. I'm still learning, but I like it, and I think that might be the next one I do. But geomancy is an earth divination type of a tool. You can do it a variety of ways. I have chosen to create 4 runes because you're putting them in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. When you create your glyph, you're throwing them and then you create the rune based on what you threw. And so I chose to do it this way rather than using like a bunch of P's or C's or whatever and then counting, throwing them down, and the even number that you count out creates 2 dots, and an odd number of whatever you have creates 1. Well, I'm in the dark, so I'm not going to do it that way. I'm not going to do it that way. That's ridiculous. So, but you can. I mean, if you were just out and about, you could just grab something, throw them down, and count them, and you'd have the first, and you did it 4 times, you'd have your rune. So however you do it, sticks, whatever, they just need to throw down a bunch and count them. But in this case, I didn't. I coded them. This one's to fire. That's the single dot side. That's the dual. So when I throw them down, see, I can just make my rune that way. And I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe geomancers of old did that, but it doesn't seem like it. But anyway, there's 3 that if you create them on the first throw, that you will you got to destroy the reading because it's too evil to continue. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think any witch would do that, but I'm certainly not going to do it. This is one of them, though, Carcer. Carcer Rubius and Cauda Draconis are the runes that you destroy the readings over. We're not going to do this. Carcer is about imprisonment. So we're imprisoned right now, and it's self-imprisonment, and it has to be for a reason. We're not being punished. I know it may feel like that, especially when people's incomes are threatened and destroyed. I get that. We feel imprisoned by this, and so we're going to have to deal with that feeling, though, and keep it in perspective. We are able to go outside. We just need to socially distance. So what is it? They're saying 6 feet. I'm lucky I have 5 acres, so I can kind of walk around and do what I want and not come in contact with anyone other than my husband. And so, and if something were to happen, we have other areas we can quarantine into. One of us could just stay in the bedroom. There's a bathroom in there, put food on the floor and you could open up the door and get your food. If it's me, I'm going to have to move all this in there. But if we don't go anywhere, then I don't know, plus we were ill already, the first part of January, and it was weird. So, and we had been on vacation. We didn't leave the state. In fact, we didn't even leave the city. We went to a resort nearby because we have chickens. So for all we know, we might have already had a mild form of this. We don't know though, because of course we're not ill anymore. But it was weird and unlike anything we'd ever experienced. But I don't recall chills, so I don't know. It was just odd. So maybe we had a mild case of it. Maybe we got it when we went to that resort. I don't know. Or at any of the grocery stores we go to. I don't know. But at the same time, if we maybe if we just hunker down, if we're able to do that, particularly if we're 60 and older like we are, then maybe we'll be okay and we won't get sick. Um, I don't know. This is going to be an interesting time. So while we are imprisoned, let's not feel that way if at all possible. Understand that it's self-imprisonment for a purpose, and it's there for safety reasons. And just see it that way, and it'll be. I think that your perspective will hopefully grow into it over time instead of fighting against it and resisting it. That's the most important thing. Just don't resist it right now, and emotionally it might be easier through this transition because there really will be people that need to be out working, that can't be home with their kids. They're not, I mean, they can be with them for a certain amount of time, but it's too stressful maybe. They're used to being somewhere else. And so that's, if you've got a lot of little kids, there might be a bunch of chaos in the house till everybody figures out how they're going to make this work. So again, if you're feeling self-imprisoned, that's a perspective that you can just think another thought. Think of it another way. Think of it long enough, and eventually you might be able to get through that moment. So, because not everybody can handle a bunch of kids. They just can't. It's too, maybe their nervous system is just too touchy, and it's they just have a hard time with chaos. And let's face it, kids can be pretty chaotic when they're yelling and screaming and running around and playing and having a good time with one another. Sometimes, you can't tune out the dull, and you can't tune out the craziness. And so it affects you. So you might feel a little imprisoned by it all. So just keep it in perspective, and we should get through this. So in any event, again, what I don't know if I said this. I did when I tried to do the other one on the other laptop. So I don't know if I said this. So if I didn't, I said it yesterday. Teachables Reach Summit sign up is on. It's on, I believe it's next week when it starts. And if you're interested in building an online course, then if you want to do that as like a side hustle or something, you're trying to make some other kinds of income. It can be passive. I think that you can have as much interaction with students as you want. But it's something that once you put it onto their platform, they take care of the payments and all of that. It's the whole platform serves the whole thing. So they host it for you as well. If you can sign up for that, I think that the workshop itself is free, but if you sign up to join their platform, they offer the software for you to do that. And I don't know if it's a one-time purchase or what it is, or if it's yearly or how they do it. But in any event, if you're thinking about doing that, that might be something to consider right now. It's the sign up is below the video. There's also some information on my blog over at imsteppingaside.com on it. Also, one other thing, again, if you're into mushrooms, if you want to learn about them, the Herbal Academy has a mushroom course right now. The sign up is currently on. And if you took part in the giveaway before that, it ended on the 15th. Whoever won, congratulations. I signed up for the course yesterday because I'm an herbalist and I work with mushrooms. I just want to be able to identify them a little better when I'm out and about. I have them growing on my property. Pretty sure I know which ones I can touch and which I can't. But I just want to be certain. And I generally, the ones that I work with, I grow in mushroom patches in the house. So those, or I buy them and I tincture them or what have you. So I just want to be a little more confident with them. And so you can use this time for that. There's other online courses you can sign up for, different places. But those are the two I know about right now that are happening. This could be a really interesting time for all of us. So embrace it, and we'll find a way through it. So stay well, wash your hands, socially distance, and We'll see you here tomorrow. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.